first, let's do a very, very quick go round, please. Very quick, so we can get to Tandy. And I'd like you to just say who you are and what kind of coaching you do or what you're up to. Okay, so I'll start. Leslie Austin, mostly executive coaching, a lot of personal work, emotional mastery. And my brand for many years has been the Lion Tamer. And I deal with difficult people and difficult emotions. And that's basically what I'm up to. And I'm in the middle of rebranding and gearing up and all that. Very cool stuff. So, Mona?
Yes, I am a movement therapist and coach, and I work with people who are struggling with pain and in all walks of life. And I love helping them to relieve that by changing how they move. And so.
Okay, thank you. And Candace?
Hi, ladies. I'm so happy to be here. I am newly from Philadelphia, so I'm one of those people that I didn't just come down I-95, I kind of skipped over too. So really happy to be here. I am an entrepreneur and executive coach. I work mostly with women, helping them increase their productivity, profitability, and also personal fulfillment in their, whether it's their careers or their businesses.
Great, thank you, and welcome. Nina?
Hey everyone, I'm Nina Schmidt. I work for USF as an instructor in the field of finance and real estate. So I always enjoy learning a lot from this wonderful group of coaches, and then I apply what I've learned to my classes and to working with my students.
Nina, remind me I have to talk to you offline sometime after the meeting about the changes at State Street. We have to have a conversation. Sorry. Gail?
Hi, everybody. I'm Gail Kondrick, and I'm the author of Walking the Grove, Journal of a Sacred Encounter. And I also was up at 5 a.m. Yes, this morning, and so with the storm. And I am a creativity coach and archetypal consultant. And I'm now going to get a little something to nibble, and I'll be back. Thank you.
Yes, please do. Tandy, just so you know, under normal circumstances, we meet at a restaurant in downtown Sarasota called the Bijou Cafe. So these are always luncheon meetings. So we're always eating and drinking and chowing down and socializing, which is so I invite everybody, bring some water, coffee, a snack, whatever. We'll continue the tradition until we can see each other again in person at the Bijou, which I'm looking forward to. All righty. Kristen.
Hi, so happy to be here. I actually did attend at least one meeting at the Bijou Cafe, so I'm glad to kind of come back. I am a leadership coach, work with mission-driven female nonprofit leaders that are looking to link their passion with their power. So I am also a yoga instructor. Have a certificate in energy medicine and positive intelligence training background as a certified PQ coach. So I kind of take all of that and bring it to the work of nonprofits and also small business and entrepreneurs.
Wonderful, thank you. And as I said, welcome, you're our newest member. So thank you for joining. Christine?
Hi, I'm Chris Hannafin, and I have several degrees in counseling psychology. And my specialty is working with people in mind-body holistic methods without medication to help them through emotional and physical pain. It's fantastic for anxiety. I specialize in a method called NET, neuro-emotional technique. And there can be blocks for people getting what they want in life, and NET can get to the bottom of that and actually change the nervous system in the brain to calm it down and unhook conditioning that prevents people from getting what they want.
Can you please have a chat with my dog, Jackson?
There are veterinarians that are in training, and truly you can work with animals.
Man, okay. If I used to get him acupuncture, so I have to find a local acupuncturist for dogs. Anyway,
yeah, this is actually based on acupuncture, and I use acupuncture access points in the wrist area. Right. So it's
okay.
Anything, but yes, definitely.
Thank you. And Valerie.
Good morning, ladies. My name is Valerie Chalet, and my background is in personal finance. And I'm now a life coach specializing in helping working women who want to achieve balance and fulfillment and financial freedom in order to do that. I'm glad to be here with you this morning.
Great, thank you. Thank you for joining us. And Stephanie?
Hey, I apologize. My video is in and out, so I'm just going to stay off video. But I am Stephanie Markuski. I'm an ADHD life coach and also a tiny habits coach. I find that tiny habits kind of short circuit the executive dysfunction and help people get better at exercising that executive function muscle.
Okay, thank you. And Luann?
Yeah, I specialize in seniors. I'm an assisted living professional consultant, but also work with the seniors who are struggling with the challenges of maybe not being able to live alone anymore, and helping the families to make decisions that affect their family members. So my focus is on seniors, which I am becoming one of.
Aren't we all sooner or later?
Yes, we hope so.
I hope so indeed. Thank you. And last but most definitely not least, the esteemed Deb Mazzaferro.
Am I on?
Yes,
Yeah.
you are, my dear.
Sorry.
We're asking just please just say who you are and briefly.
Yeah. The normal introduction. Deb Mazzaferro, longtime member. I'm your treasurer. Welcome, Kirsten. We've had some emails back and forth. Nice to meet you. I do coaching and consulting for the specialty food trade. So I work with the manufacturers of products that you might find at Trader Joe's or the Fresh Market or Whole Foods. It's been an interesting year with food supply. And I'm a Gestalt trained coach.
All right. Well, thank you all. I am looking forward to hearing what Tandy has to say. So let's get right into it. For more than a decade, Tandy Pryor has helped her clients and audiences transform their lives, live more joyfully, and make more money. She empowers them to use their home or office space as a vehicle for making radical shifts in their lives and increasing wealth, productivity, and peace of mind. Her intuitive advice and insights on how to set clearer boundaries, rediscover personal power, and heal past experiences and fears that have stopped you have been called raw, transformative, hilarious, honest, refreshing, innovative, spot on, and spookily accurate. And I can say that I know all of that to be true. So I'm absolutely delighted to welcome Tandy. The topic was, is your office leaking money? But what I want to say is, Tandy has told me that she really likes interaction in groups. So rather than have her just talk at you, what we've decided to do is have her start off and make an introduction, talk to us a little bit. But it would be wonderful if any of you would jump in at any time, unmute yourselves, ask a question, make a comment, so that this can be an active conversation and dialogue rather than Tandy talking at you and then a Q&A. So let's be a little more interactive and lively than we usually are while our guest speaker is on, so we can have a conversation and a dialogue, because Tandy's really fun and loves doing it that way. All right, so with that, I'm going to turn it over to you, Tandy. Welcome. We're so glad to have you here.
Good. Thank you. I'm really glad to be here with you guys today, with you all today. You can tell I'm from Cincinnati. We use that word all the time. I've been called out about calling people you guys. I have been a coach for the last 9 years. Wow. It's going to be 10 in January. It's hard to believe. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Too louder. Okay.
No,
okay.
You're fine.
Yeah. So I'm all about empowerment of female entrepreneurs and leaders in every aspect of their life, boundaries, money, relationships, whatever it is, that's where I go. And I think it's kind of important to talk about a little bit about how I got here. The fact, like I, at 50, I literally had a conversation with a coach the first one-on-one coach I had, that I was kind of doing just the Feng Shui then. And she asked me, how much longer are you going to hide? And I looked around and I was literally in my basement hiding from my kids upstairs. I was a single mom of 3 kids. And I was literally hiding down there to have this conversation. And it just hit me so, smack in the head. Like in 2 weeks, I had clients because I'd been taking coaching training for years before that. So it's kind of a long way of getting here, including a near-death experience, a divorce. And I was also adopted at birth, and I had a very loving family, amazing life. But in the 60s, there was a lot of shame around that. And I bring that up because a lot of why I'm good at what I do is I came in powerless. Literally, people were making choices, and there's just a lot of shame where there's secrets. And so that's been a big part. So my whole life has brought me to the work that I do, which is being of service on a really deep level to healing. After my near-death experience in my 30s is when the space piece came about, because I'm a former clutter bug, making messes, talking about Feng Shui. Does everybody here know about Feng Shui, or at least kind of get it? Mm-hmm. It sounds like it's
so,
pretty.
I think so, but why don't you just give us an impossible 30-second thumbnail?
Feng Shui is about, the way that I say it is, it's about connecting you and your physical space on a much deeper level than you could probably even imagine. It is a 6,000-year-old art because it works. And the Chinese did it to, they understood that energy flows through, in, and around. And it was about creating empowered spaces for dying originally, and death, and being buried. And then they started bringing it into homes and that type of thing. So it's a powerful tool. And I like to be campy and have fun and call it, is your office leaking money? But the truth is, it is such a powerful tool for my coaching clients that I've just started talking about it kind of on its own. And it's a piece of what I do. And it's just masterful, because you and your physical space are so intimately connected. It is an outside representation of your inner world. That's how I would like to start that.
So it's an outer representation of your inner world. So what's the connection? Can you explain the connection then between how well you're doing in your business or you're not, and what you look at in the space, or what are the factors in the space that tell you that somebody could do better? What are you looking at?
Okay. So, each person that I work with, it's so individualized, because it depends on what their blocks are. Look at your physical space is a cluster or a grouping of things, items, furniture, how it's situated, that tell about you and the story of you, not just your office. I use your office because we're all in business and so many people are working at home, but this goes much further than that. So, it's who you are, where you've been. It could tell about your culture. It could talk about what values you have. It could talk about what you love, but it helps me show you how to get to the next level and where you're stopping. For instance, I was interviewed the other day, and you have to be 6 to 7 figures to even be in this group. And the person that's running it, her desk was completely off. And as successful as she is, and it wasn't my place to go, she was like, oh yeah, I had this set up and I went by, did it like DIY, but I could see that she's not ready for that next level. And her physical space showed it in a bazillion different ways. But that's one example that just happened this week. It can be, that one was in particular desk positioning, which, as simple as it seems, is much more complicated. And it can snap on somebody's next level of earning or true empowerment. I like to say it's like this: you're here and you're going along and your next level is over here. And once you line the space up, it's like this.
So would it be safe to say that from a feng shui and energy perspective, that the physical placement of objects has a certain energy pattern that you are functioning in, and by changing some of the physical space, you're changing the energy pattern that you're in?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that I like the way you say it, because you're still very okay. I want to make sure nobody had a question on the chat. I'm sorry, I
No.
just saw all the chat question.
Yeah.
So I'll just assume you'll monitor the
I
chat
will
then, so I
monitor
don't
the
have
chat
to.
for you. Don't
Yes,
worry
it's
about it.
very much like that, and it's really funny. Even if you're really successful and you're feeling pretty good, if there's some little thing that's just a little off, it can be little or it can be big. It will show itself. And the other thing is, like right now with people, I've seen this a lot, is about really claiming a space during this time. It's so important for you in your business, in your space, to claim it within your house, wherever you are, whatever it is, whether, you know, and I help people with that too. There needs to be a line, so to speak, in the sand. If you're in a shared office, one of my private one-on-one clients, the way we got started was that she literally had to nicely ask her husband to switch positions in this office that they shared, because he didn't work there all the time. And she was definitely not in the power position. She was not. As soon as she did, her whole life changed as soon as she shifted it. And it had to do with what's behind her, supporting her. It had to do with lots of things like that. And so I hope I'm this is a little bit of a different presentation for me. So I just wanted to talk and share about the things that I see and how it plays out. It's better than me just going, and if you move your desk here, you will.
Yeah, so just to be sure, I assume everybody knows this, but I don't know it for a fact. So just to be sure, when Tandy's talking about feng shui, Tandy, I assume that there are certain principles that you study more or less in feng shui that say, like when you say the power spot, what does that mean?
Right. So I'm taught through what's called instinctive feng shui. So it's a very more westernized version. And has anybody heard of Denise Lin, Hay House author? Okay, so I'm trained through one of hers, which is a weaving of kind of shamanic practices and feng shui and multiple cultures. So it's kind of like I said, it's a much more westernized version. And on top of that, now that I've done that for almost 15 years, I've been doing feng shui for like 15 years when I was selling real estate divorce wise before I wrapped this up at 50 and started my coaching business. So I'm trained in that way, and then I use my own intuition. That is the real key to a lot of this. But power positions, I'd really like to go through. So I think it might be a good basis. When we were talking about your office is leaking money, I wanted to talk about that and then give 5 specific things you could do today. And then we can talk and have some questions. Is that okay with everybody?
Absolutely, please.
Okay, so 5 ways that your office may be leaking money is numero uno is you don't really have your intention in the space, wherever it is you're working. It's just kind of like you threw yourself in there, or you just set it up there because it kind of looked good, or maybe the lighting was good. So intention with any feng shui is key. Intention is key. The second one is you're leaking money. When I say you're leaking money, it really is about blocking, can be clutter. And even if you are pretty neat, most everybody still has some space. And now that I, kind of turned the corner from being a clutter bug from growing up, it helps me be really good at what I am. I look at where they are. Where is the clutter? And meaning, I do have one of these, a Bagua map. This is what I use. Mine's a little wrinkled. I apologize. If you want one of these, I'm going to leave my email in there, and I'm happy to give you a free one of mine that I designed here.
That'd be great.
I look at that like, is the clutter in money? Is the clutter in intuition? And then you can use that map in the micro area of where you're working. So clutter and intention, and then power positioning. The biggest thing about power positioning is you want a solid wall behind you. There is a wall right behind this thing right here behind me. And you want to be facing your opportunities. That's power positions.
Now, what does that mean, facing your opportunities?
You don't want to be lined up on the same wall as the door. You want to be able to see the door.
Oh, okay.
Look at it energetically as if you're welcoming in new clients, new money, new whatever.
Okay. Got it.
Is it okay?
Yeah.
The fourth one is your office may be leaking money. And I move these around a lot because there's a lot more than 5. But unpaid bills in your office that are being ignored, not in a system, it really has a lot to do with your keeping your word and integrity. And it's important.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one way you can be leaking, is being checked out or unconscious around your money.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then the fifth one that I'm feeling like I need to say is low lighting. Lighting is huge. You need sunshine, you need light, you need to be in an office that lights you up.
Mm-hmm.
That's another way that you can be so-called leaking or keeping it. Sun is like light. I mean, it's like energy. When you open it up, it's the same with opening windows up.
I relate to that one, especially. I'm very aware of how much light and space there is in a room that I'm in, whether it's dark or light or whatever.
Yeah.
Deb
had a question.
Yeah. I wasn't just agreeing.
I saw it. Yeah.
So I'm going to move my chair and you can see. So this wall, I have a wall behind me. This is a large screen. That's why I was facing this way, because I could see better. So now I'm facing the camera, right? So I have these two things going on, but there's the door. Okay. But so I'm on the wall that's with the door. So I'm not facing my opportunities, but in front of me is a floor to ceiling window. Looking out on the world. So is that a good compromise to facing the door?
In my opinion, no. And unfortunately, I'd love to be able to go through everybody's office and go, anytime that you have your back to the door, we have an innate survival mechanism. It is there at all times. Like behind you, it will pull your attention, whether you consciously or unconsciously, about what's coming in behind you. So I appreciate the question, but
but what about the window in front of you?
It's wonderful. I think that it's great if she would get herself positioned maybe where you're maybe on the opposite wall. You can be lined up where you're looking at the door this way and you're looking at the window that way. It's hard to see without how the rest of the room is lined up. But most people will say, well, I can't, I've got it set up this way. I bought this desk. It only fits here. And I want to say, I have people even hire me and try to argue. I'm not saying you're arguing at all, but they'll tell me why they can't do it. And the question is like, how much do you want to shift? Because it matters. It really matters.
Can you give us a couple of examples of shifts that you've taken clients through in your coaching and what happened with them?
Okay. Well, you saw Deirdre's.
Yes.
Did you see her testimonial? She made $30,000 by switching her desk. And she was, I have to be very careful because she spoke openly. I mean, she's spoken, openly about it. Somebody we both know, but she was like lined up. The door was this way. So like when you came in, the energy of the door was coming in. And when she switched it, exactly what I could see it, painted the wall like it was, put what she wanted behind her. It's also very important what you're looking at when you put yourself in the power position, what you're facing when your desk is in the power position. But she literally, her business took off. She has 2 businesses. The one wedding business just took off. She gave me a testimonial that is the kind that ladies were all coaches, right? I mean, you like,
Dream of, yeah.
please. It was so amazing, but it's because her results were so good. And she was an amazing student like Beth is. They implement as soon as I say. Now there's can be resistance, because what happens when you shift, like with the things that I do, I'm like, it is energy, it's magic, it's intuition, and it works. It works. You got to be ready for the shifts, and not everybody's ready.
Right.
They made us like it like it is.
Any other questions from anybody? Comments? I think this is really interesting. Mona?
Yes, I do. So normally I work in-person clients at a medical center, but I had to pivot when COVID happened, and suddenly the clients, some of them came home, and I see them in my living room where I have space, because I have them moving and I can't really have them in my office. There's just not enough space. But the other big question is, suddenly my world changed from in person to online. And so my world is this computer. And so we're all on the computer now. And so the computer is the world. So where do you place your computer? Because the door is a different thing, because people aren't coming in. Do you know what I'm saying? The computer changed everything.
What a great question. Thank you.
And it's common, because like I've been coached with people that worked from home long before COVID, right? It's still the same. You look at the energy, what we call chi in Feng Shui, is like a human. Can it come into the room and dance around it and move around, or is there furniture blocking it? It's the same when I'm talking about inviting it, whether they're physically coming in the door or not. It's still important to, as if they're coming in. Yeah. And so it's everything that I'm saying still goes if it's in person. And I would also suggest, like, if you're inviting them into your space, to play a little bit with how they're sitting versus how you're sitting, so they can feel the most comfortable and the same. Like I held a VIP day for a one-on-one client, and I rent this really cool gallery in a hotel that's also an art gallery. And I asked her this time, because where I was starting to put her didn't feel right. And so so she needed to feel really safe, because, we go deep. Right. I mean, we're going deep.
Right.
And so I felt my gut just was like, that's just not off. And I was off, she needed to sit. So when I gave her that, so make sure that if you have them in your space, that you're positioning them so they feel like they have the solid wall behind them and they're facing. You'll get a lot better. How do I want to say it? Communication, work, whatever. I've actually been working with people lately, setting up rooms that are going back in and hosting small events, or even one-on-one, and positioning the room, because it makes a huge difference.
Okay. That's great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Questions, comments?
Okay. So
okay.
I want to go into what to do if you're leaking money. I have the 5 ways to power it up, right?
Please do.
So I think that would be good now, and then maybe there'll be more questions after that. So one is to really power up your office. Numero uno, which is opposite of what we started before, is your intention. What do you want? It makes all the difference. What do you want in your life? What do you want in your business? What are you, if you're clearing the clutter, what are you making space for? The more intentional you are, the better your results.
So this is like framing conscious manifesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could you give some examples? What do you want?
Well, let's say you want, let's say you want more money. Let's say you want more clients. Let's say you want just overall abundance, love, money, sex, whatever it is. You can be specific. I mean, I don't know about you guys. It's always interesting. I love coaching coaches, right? But I know that I'm talking to a group of highly skilled coaches, and it's so important to be specific. You know, people hide in a lack of specificity. How much do we see that in messaging and speaking and everything?
And sometimes, whether it's working with ourselves or with our clients, it can be a real challenge and a major road to travel to get to be specific and have it resonate in a way that feels correct and feels right. That's a lot of the work. So it seems to me a lot of what you're talking about also feeds into that if you're getting the placement and the energy right, it's going to feed your energy, and the intention has to be part of it.
Yes,
So
absolutely. It's the key.
Yeah.
It's the key. Like I was talking about Deirdre, you know, that she had very clear intention for what she wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 is like what I just said: clean, clear, decluttered.
Mm-hmm.
3 magic words: clean, clear, and decluttered. Like if you are overwhelmed, my personal preference, I'm not Marie Kondo. I do love her work though. I think she's unrealistic at just a tiny bit, especially around paperwork. But I actually have had some clients get down to what she said, which they use a lot of scanning and that kind of thing. Now I forgot what I was saying. Oh, clean, clear, declutter. It's so important. It is so important. But I was saying, move everything out. That's what I do. I put it in baskets. And if I'm having blocks around it, I'll just get it out of there. And then nothing comes back in that doesn't belong. Mm-hmm. Be ruthless. I could tell, okay, wait, let me finish through this. And then I've got to tell some stories about the things that people keep around them. Okay. For the love of Pete, like the woman who had her ex-husband's mother's rocking chair next to her bed. And her sex life with her husband was horrible, and her relationship was horrible. And she never thought about that. And it wasn't a mother-in-law she loved from the previous marriage that didn't work. It is right by her bed. So anyway, I digress. But that's what I mean about your intention being really intentional. Like you might not even realize that something around you holds an old vibe. Mm-hmm. Okay, power up. 3rd is that power positioning. And, you know, yeah, that's a whole learning curve on its own. Correct. Mm-hmm. Power positioning. Yeah.
And I think understanding that places and orientations have an energy and a power of their own, even if they're invisible to you, that you have to pay attention to that, to the energy in a space.
Absolutely. I mean, I always ask people, what are you still carrying around? Mm. We have a culture that we are being sold ways to organize stuff that we don't even need to be holding on in the first place. Right?
Storage is a very big industry.
It is. I frankly love the Container Store, but I just keep, I mean, you get everybody out of your house, and I could be a little sassier than I was when I still had kids at home and other people that lived here when it wasn't just my stuff. 4th one is intentional welcoming of items, like what I'm talking about. And it is I was teaching that, or I was taught that before Marie Kondo, but I do it like go into your office, your living room, wherever it is that you want to work. And I would say to you to use this map instead of just saying the living room. Like, do you want to work in love and relationship? Do you want to work in abundance, fame and reputation? Look at the area that you want to work in, not just the area of your house. So does that make sense to everybody?
Yes. So that map that you're showing us is kind of like a physical map from your perspective when you enter the space.
Yes. The empowerment map, as I call it. It's a Bagua map, but it's an empowerment map.
Good.
In my world, that's what it is. So intentional welcoming of items, you guys only have things around you that have that high vibe. What I was saying is I go into the room and I use my hand. And I just like, I had to get rid of a piece of furniture. I had a grandmother that wasn't very nice. It's gone. I tried to clear it with tuning forks. Didn't vibe. It just didn't have the vibe I wanted. Had to go. And look at every single thing that's around you in your space. Does it resonate with where you want to go, not just where you were? And if you liked where you were and you like it, then, by all means keep it, but be willing to be ruthless and see if your energy goes up, it goes down, or if it just stays the same.
Right.
Yes, it's a Bagua map. And I'll put my email in here and I'm happy to send you one. And I'm teaching a class all week and I'll talk about that. If you guys want to come, it's a free class, but I'm teaching every day this week for 1 hour and we will be talking about all of this. That's another way.
At the end of the talk today, I'll ask you to put all of that information in the chat, Tandy. So your email and also about your lab that you're teaching.
Yeah. And I'm not selling. It's just coming. Well, I will be, we're all coaches. I will have an offer at the end of it, but it is like, I give a ton of content. I know that we've all been in those things where you actually never get any content and it's annoying, and it's nothing like that at all. Okay. So intentional welcoming of items back in after you clean, clear, and declutter. And then 5 is maintaining it. Mm-hmm. It's not like this thing like you do in your set. It's an ongoing thing. Like when I work with people, we visit their space. It's part of it. I had an amazing client the other day, a one-on-one client, and we were talking about how she wasn't really owning her voice. She works for Procter & Gamble here, which anybody that's, Cincinnati, that's just, the place if you're in corporate. But they teach you how to not really you almost are disempowered in sharing stuff. So afterwards she says, okay, so tell me where I need to work in my space. Now that's the first time in a really long time somebody put those two together right there. And what happens is if I tune into her space, this gets a little weird, but I don't know why it works, but it does. The thing that showed up is in fame and reputation, which is like being known for what you do. And I said, what's in that back middle area of your house? And she goes, oh my gosh, it's gotten really cluttered. I haven't been paying attention to it. It was a kitchen area, bar area that was like the catch-all. And so I just can see that somehow. I know that's a little woo-woo. I don't care.
Woo-woo.
That it just is true though. But nobody ever says, after a coaching, like right then, what's my space? And it was brilliant. And so I'm going to have people asking that more often because the physical space showed up what we've talked about for an hour before. So that's about it, you guys, with the maintaining it daily, because this is an ongoing thing. You have to keep moving things around, keep not always moving your desk around, but the items around you and checking in. Does this support me? Is this where I'm going? And be intentional and conscientious with your space.
That's so interesting. I remember having a tendency to hold on to things myself, and intermittently being good about it and then not good about it. Many years ago when my mom passed away, an organizer friend of mine suggested that my mother had a collection of decorative objects, and it was very hard for me to decide what to keep and what not. And he said, take really good photos of everything and then bless the objects and give them away unless you really want to keep it. And that turned out to be a wonderful thing, because if I really remember something and want to be attached to it or have the association to it, I can pull up the photo in my computer and I get the same response to it and the same affectionate memory of my mom and this object and when she got it as if I had the physical object. So I only kept a very few things of hers and let the rest go. I have some more to get rid of now on a second wave that I thought I wanted, but I didn't. I don't need them now. Time has changed.
That is so smart, because that's where a lot of people start to get in trouble with too much.
Yeah.
Is when somebody passes and they can't. I've just seen that over and over again.
Yeah.
And again, you just don't know. Like one of my very first clients, I think she might have been like my 4th or 5th client. And I had gotten how the coaching and the physical space worked together, but I was relatively new, and I got to her. Then I was going in person, and she lived very close to me. And she was extremely wealthy and a trained healer and all this. But she was a hoarder, and it was heartbreaking, absolutely heartbreaking. But she'd been in therapy so long, and I would venture to say that therapist had no idea that was going on. And my point is, that's how impactful the physical space was when I really got it. That was out of my league, by the way. I had to.
What comes up for me on that is, well, first off, I just have to say that yesterday I worked on my office. I didn't do it particularly because of this. I forgot all about this being the topic, but a shelf fell down 2 months ago and I couldn't get anybody to come and fix it. And I'm not a procrastinator, but it wasn't important, and I ordered another shelf. It didn't work. Anyway, finally yesterday, it took all of 10 minutes to put the freaking thing back up there. And I had moved all the stuff onto the futon. So I was like, that was on my list to put that up and clear out all the junk that ended up on the futon. So I did that. But here's when you say hoarding, I want to get your impression on, I have clothes. So I simplified 5 years ago. I moved to half the size condo. Something comes in, something has to go out.
That's my rule too. Good.
But let's talk about clothes.
Yeah. Okay. Clothes, books, plants. Those are things that I see people really, everything else can be fine, but it really, they have an emotional attachment for people, who they were with when they got them, where they were, what was the job, how successful were they, where did they live? It's all comes between that. Have you ever seen Marie Kondo do clothes? Have you guys seen that? I'm like, that looks like hell. She makes you get every single tiny thing from everywhere in the house and put it in one pile. That'll break you right there. But I don't have that one. I don't have any more of anything, but I never really did. If I have anything, it's close. I have these. I have just maybe too many of these, just because I love them. My mother says I do.
We keep clothes we don't fit in anymore. I think that's one thing, right? And then there are some things like, I'm like, God, I wish I had that dress. It'd be perfect for this occasion. So then there's that, the special occasion stuff that you keep. And I don't know. I just was wondering if you had any input around.
It's always the challenge of the lost possibility in your mind.
There you go. That's what I was going to say. That's what holds people hostage with getting rid of things. What if I really want this? And I had this conversation yesterday. It's interesting you bring it up, because normally if you haven't worn it in 6 months to a year, every clothes person, stylist, clutter person, whatever, will tell you to get rid of it. Well, this year is so different because really people were living in stretch pants and whatever they had to look up from here up, So you have to decide, like, if you know that's an issue and you are not getting the results you want, that's when you need to call somebody in to help you get rid of it. If that's what you want. Like, if you know that, if you brought that up, it's probably, and I would also ask you, Deb, I'm sorry that my map is kind of crunched up. I crunched it on the way up here.
Yeah, we can't really see that from.
You can't?
No, it's just a bunch of color blocks, so I can't read it.
Okay, well, you can get one later, but what I would do if I were you, if you ask me for one, I'll send you one. You use the front door along here, the front door.
Yeah.
And then you want to see where the clothes are in the map and see if it's blocking, like maybe your next level of business, or maybe you want a relationship, or maybe it's like, I've seen clients with that want more money, and I get there and they have an armoire caddy corner in the money corner that hasn't been moved in 20 years. That's full of blankets and things that haven't been cleaned out. And it literally is a block. And it's weird how it works.
It's fascinating to me to imagine how the ancient Chinese learned or came up with this system. That's another topic for another day, but isn't it amazing? That and acupuncture, I mean, how did they figure out all of these energy systems?
The meridians.
So reliable.
I'm a big fan of acupuncture too, but that it is, and how it's been I don't want to say improved, but it's been
refined
and changed. And, bathrooms used to be really bad, but, like, they didn't have them in their house. And now bathrooms can be like the most beautiful space in the house these days with new homes.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of adjust. I am happy for questions if anybody has any.
Anybody else have questions or comments? Chris.
A funny comment. And this is not the funny part, but I'll get to it. My husband had 16-year miserable journey with Parkinson's the last 5 years, and he passed away on November, the day after Thanksgiving, like 4 or 5 months ago. And I have his ashes in a store, like a nice store bag with the American flag on top of it, because he was in the service. But as soon as you walk in my foyer, obviously you're not aware that his, whatever you call the box of ashes is, you're not aware that it's there, but I know that it's there. And when I think about moving on, and it's been I preface this with, it's a long journey. So I haven't really had a partner. I've had somebody that I've looked after, but I have not had a partner. And he was in a care home the last 2.5 years of his life, for relationship wise. And so, I need to, and he can be, his ashes can be put in the military cemetery. And I was thinking like, oh, because of COVID, it would be nice if my kids could come and be part of that, because they just do this 10-minute ceremony. But I think it is time, especially as I'm hearing this timely, that I maybe take care of that soon.
Yeah.
Well, bless you.
Yes. And well, I mean, and that you do it on what works for you, but it's also, I hope that this is just new information to help you make a choice that helps you for your highest and best good, and where, what's next for you and when you're ready. But it is a new information, new action. We all know that.
Yeah. And it's
I'm sorry for your loss.
A new chapter. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Gail, you had a question?
Thank you for sharing that.
Yes. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, Christine. Yes, this also goes to what Deb was saying, but it's just sort of a general thing that I want to pick up on. And that is that, like many of you, when I moved here, from Northern Virginia, where I lived for over 20 years, I had a house full of stuff, but I didn't know exactly where I was going. I didn't know if it would fit in. And what I really wanted was a fresh start. So I held an estate sale to get rid of the items. But what I did first was, on the last day I was in the home, and it was fully set up with the estate sale, and I went room by room and I took photographs of how it looked, exactly how I'd planned it over the years. This object was here and that floral arrangement was there. And so I've done that now several times. And in my memories, that's the way it stands. That's how it is. And so I can just look at it and remember, yes, that's this house. I never stayed around for the estate sale and the bargaining, and emotionally, I would not have been able to do that. Yeah. So I got in my car and I got on the auto train, and here I am. And the other thing about clothes is that, that I work with archetypes, and I have a course called Your Destiny is in Your Closet. And it talks about the energy of clothing and why you keep things and why you don't. So here's just the easy tips. When you take some pictures of the same clothes, if you're not sure you want to get rid of them, because what I find is that most women hold on to things because of several things. It is a memory of something that's very special to them, whether they may ever wear it again. Now, there's some things like that you want to hold on forever, but if you have a whole closet of that, that's not what you want. So there's lots of ways of doing this, including journaling with it and writing with it and analysis of it. And no, I don't do it anymore. So, but I do it for myself as much as I can. But anyway, this idea of stuff, what to do with the stuff, Tandy, and how that shifts our energy is a big one. And I'm just going to give you one more little example of being here, and that's an outdoor example. And that is, I had a malfunctioning portable hot tub outside in my garden area. And for 2 years, it didn't have electricity because it lost it during a hurricane. And finally, out of desperation, I said, I don't care how much it costs, somebody's got to get this out of my yard. And as soon as they did, I had this extreme sense of relief. And it was in the back right corner.
That's relationship. Yeah.
I know.
But that can be relationship with clients too, not just romantic too.
Okay.
So that's a good, yeah. Yeah.
But it was really worth it to get rid of it.
Good. Yeah. Good. Did you get more clients? Did you notice? Sometimes people don't notice. Like they'll do things like that and they'll go, wait a minute, that did.
No, I'm not going to say I got new clients, but I will tell you I felt new energy and creativity, and that's what I wanted. So yeah, my intention was filled.
Yeah, good.
But mainly it was that it annoyed me so much that it just irritated me.
It has a bigger hold than what people realize. Mm-hmm. It really does, and it can. And different, obviously, the more sensitive you are, the more you're going to feel it. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
I think also sometimes there's an energy. I'll be right with you, Mona. There's an energy sometimes. I know I was, in my family circumstances when I was little, I was brought up to compromise and put up with things. I was the youngest in the family. Even the dog was older than I was. And so my sister, I shared a room with my sister, and she dominated the way the room was, which was not the way I would have wanted it. And as I grew older, I just got used to her habits. And later, I realized that I incorporated some of her habits as if they were mine. She's 5 years older than I was. And it's taken me a long time to figure out what's me and what's not putting up with what I'm used to.
Tolerating.
Yeah, it's really interesting how we deal with these energies and such. This is great, Tandy. Mona, you had a question or comment?
Yes, I do. It's wonderful. So I live in a house where my office is a rectangle room, but all the other rooms have 5 or 6 walls. It's not, and your Bagua map is for a square. And also I have all these, I don't really have windows. I have sliding glass doors. So it's like I'm living outside. Mm-hmm. So how would I adapt the Bagua map to a room that is not rectangular or square when it has all these different angles?
Well, that gets where it starts to get complicated. But like, even if a room is like this, it doesn't have to be square. You just squish it down. Like I've been in small spaces, 700 square feet at condos, where it's like one room would have intuition, like intuition, family, and abundance. That's the far left side of the map. So it's 3, 6, 9 sections. Mm-hmm. So they would all be like on one side, and they might even been one room. So it kind of squishes down. The problem is when you miss an area. Mm-hmm. So the angles probably don't, I don't know without seeing it. I mean, that's where it starts to get really complicated, and what's under roof, and that takes really a session, honestly, because, but you can, I mean, it just because the area is not a square, you still can lay it over it like a square and see. But if you have a missing section, there are things you can do to fix that. But like, if you're in business and you want more money and you lay the map over it, and you're got a big chunk out of where money is, that definitely needs some intention.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. But I don't, the doors and that's really, that is, do you love that? Do you love like being in and out and it feels safe and secure and all that? You like all the sliding doors?
So, I do. I like being so connected with nature.
Right.
It's like a tree house. The trees are all around it, and I do like that. And at night, of course, I need to pull the drapes.
So that's exactly what I would recommend. Like that's how, like, if we're in New York City, it's all glassed in at night. That creates a wall. Mm-hmm. So when you do that, that creates a wall. And sometimes you want to do that. Some people never want to do that. That's not me. I want to be able to do that when I want to do that. But everybody, each to each their own.
Right.
Yeah, it sounds beautiful.
Let me ask you a question, Tandy. You used to do this in person, I'm sure. And do you do this virtually now? And do people, in the old days, I guess we would have said Skype with you or WhatsApp with you, but do they give you a visual tour of their?
I used to do that, but it was like Blair Witch Project. I just need the pictures. I get pictures ahead of time. And most people do a little sketch for me so I can see it. And it works equally well, equally as well.
And you can just tune in on that, I'm sure.
Yes, I can tune in on that.
Okay. Anyone else? Any other questions, comments?
It was kind of multitasking. I'm expecting a handyman at some point, so I was kind of getting something ready when you were saying where you were from, Tandy. Where's your home base?
Oh, I'm in Cincinnati.
Oh, in Cincinnati. So
yeah.
You can't easily.
Actually, in case Chris has to go, Tandy, is your email Tandy at Tandy Pryor Coaching?
Yeah, Pryor.
I'll put it in the chat right now.
Yeah, put that. Yes. And if you have any interest in the class this whole week, it's my group on Facebook is Tandy Pryor. It's the Power Tribe. And then I'm just going to go live into the group and you can register on there and get the workbook and all that. So if that's something, and if you're interested in a session, just shoot me a email and we can work that out. If that's something that you want, I've got it priced at $9.97 now, but it's a 30-day package. It's one session for an hour, a follow-up 2 weeks later for a half hour, and then 3 emails for the whole month. So I've made it this really cool container, but because Leslie, that $9.97, I'll take it down to $6.99 for anybody that wants it. You can do 2 payments if you want to, but it's intense and you'll be different at the end of it. And it really, most people get the money, the investment back, but I can't guarantee that. It depends on, your intention.
That's in all my coaching agreements. I can guarantee the quality of my work, but I can't guarantee the outcome because that's going to depend on your participation or if I'm coaching your client's work, just really clear. That's wonderful. Anybody else? Any other questions or comments? I think we're good. Tandy, this has just been delightful and wonderful.
This is fun. What a nice group. It's so good to meet you guys. And if I get down to Florida, I may just join you. Oh, it may happen sooner than you think. I mean, I've had real estate agents here. I'm like, I'm not kidding when I'm saying I'm not going to be here for winter. It's just, am I going to be somewhere else all year long or just part-time down there?
We have had members who are snowbirds who are with us in person, in the winter months. We have been virtual the last year. We hadn't been before then, but I'm hoping we can work out a hybrid maybe from when we go back in person. It's not that hard. Maybe we can still have some people attend virtually while we're there in person. I don't know. We'll see.
I'm ready for that too.
Working it out.
Right. Connection.
I noticed that during the meeting, Kent Norton joined us. And Kent, I hope you're there. You weren't part of the intros. I just wanted to ask you to very briefly introduce yourself, say who you are, what kind of coaching you do. Are you there? Kent is being silent. Perhaps he's listening. All right. So we invite him into the space anyway. He's on the screen. All right. Any last comments? Thank you so much, Tandy. And remember, she has a week-long training there, an hour each or a little less?
No, I'm going somewhere between 30 to 40 minutes. And then I'm going to play around with some rooms, Facebook room, and see if I can get in there and allow some one-on-one. So we'll see if I can pull that off.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
That and that length of time is people can sit through them easily.
It is. I want them to be like that. I want it to be potent information. So I'll be bringing some stories and other things in too. And so this kind of expanded out.
Tandy, what I'll do, if it's all right with you, is I will ask our wonderful virtual assistant Deb Davis to, if you send me your Bagua map, I'll have her send it out to everybody.
Okay, great.
listening today.
Yep. I'm
Okay,
happy to do that. Yeah.
All right.
Good.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I
Thank
know
you for
you're
having
launching
me.
class this afternoon. Best of luck to you. Many
Thank
blessings.
you.
Thank
Okay.
you so much.
Bye, everybody. Thank
Talk to
you.
you soon. Bye-bye.